All the information shared in this video is available on the public platform. Nothing is discussed here which may breach the confidentiality of our armed forces. Defense Detective respects our defense forces and works only on the information that is available for public use.
Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Defense Detective Global. Today's video is very special because it is about the first war between India and Pakistan, which we also call the First War of Kashmir. There was a war between the two countries for about 14 months, and the current situation in Kashmir is the result of this war. Pakistan is completely responsible for this war. If it had not indulged in greed, there would have been neither the Kashmir dispute, nor would there have been Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, nor would there have been 4 wars between the two countries. We will prove with full evidence how Pakistan's ignorance, or rather stupidity, has given birth to such a big controversy. Pakistan got independence on 14 August 1947, and just 2 months later, it attacked Kashmir. It was named Operation Gulmarg. More than 5,000 tribals suddenly entered Kashmir. Soldiers of the Pakistani army were also among them. They were also dressed like tribals. They were armed with guns, machine guns and mortars. Their motive was to capture Srinagar, because once Srinagar was captured, entire Kashmir would have become the territory of Pakistan.
इंडिया से मैं समझता हूँ कोई खतरा नहीं. हमने 4 जंगें लड़ी, उनसे सब हमने शुरू की है. उन्होंने कोई जंग नहीं किया. अच्छा, हमने शुरू की. हमने किया. पहली जंग तो 1947 में जब पाकिस्तान बना, खान अब्दुल कयूम खान था चीफ मिनिस्टर फ्रंटियर का. उसके कहने पर, उसके मशवरे पर, उसकी इमा पर, उसकी वजह से ज्यादातर ये लश्कर भेजने शुरू कर दिए कश्मीर में. इन्होंने वहाँ लश्कर भेजने शुरू कर दिए, फौज भेजने शुरू कर दी. फौजी जो छुट्टी पर भेजना शुरू किया और ये हमला शुरू कर दिया. और जब श्रीनगर पहुंचे तो जो कबायली गए थे जिन्हें ट्रकों में, वो तो लूटमार का सामान ट्रकों में लेकर वापस आने शुरू हो गए और फौज थोड़ी सी वहां रह गई. और इंडिया ने अपनी फौज भेजी, उसने एक्सीड कर दिया हिंदुस्तान को.
चारों जो जंग हुई उसमें पहल हमने की, पहल हिंदुस्तान की तरफ से नहीं हुई. अच्छा, क्या हुआ? क्या पहली बात तो ये कि पहली जंग आपकी 47-48 में हुई. आपने ये फैसला किया कि कश्मीर के ऊपर हो सकता है कि हिंदुस्तान गड़बड़ कर दे. आना तो आपको था, मगर हो सकता है हिंदुस्तान गड़बड़ कर दे. तो आपने सिकंदर मिर्जा साहब से, जो बाद में जाके सदर भी बने पाकिस्तान के, और वो थे उस वक्त पेशावर में कमिश्नर, और उनसे ये कहा गया कि आप कबायली लश्कर इकट्ठा करें. हम ये नहीं चाहते कि हमारी फौज जो है वो बॉर्डर क्रॉस करे, इंटरवेंशन करे कश्मीर में, क्योंकि ये एक आईनी तौर पे ये फैसला हुआ था कि जो मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी एरियाज हैं वो पाकिस्तान को आएंगे. कश्मीर मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी एरिया था, हालांकि राजा वहां का हिंदू था. तो मगर यहां ये ख्याल था कि शायद यहां गड़बड़ ना हो जाए, तो इसलिए इन्होंने ये फैसला किया कि फौज नहीं जाएगी मगर लश्कर भेजेंगे, कबायली लश्कर, और प्रिटेंड ये करेंगे कि ये एक स्पॉन्टेनियस किस्म की अपराइजिंग है, इसके पीछे हमारा हाथ नहीं है. तो आपने एक ऑर्गेनाइज प्लान के तहत आपने एक कबायली लश्कर भेज दिए.
On October 21, 1947, tribal lashkars attacked Kashmir. The commander of the tribals was Khurshid Anwar, who was an officer of the Pakistan Army. At that time, Brigadier Rajendra Singh was the chief of the army of Jammu and Kashmir. Maharaja Hari Singh gave him the responsibility to stop the tribals. There were about 300 soldiers in Badami Bagh cantonment. Brigadier Rajendra Singh took 150 soldiers with him and reached Mahura to stop the tribals.
माहूरा में उनकी जो लड़ाई हुई है अपने ब्रिगेडियर राजेंद्र सिंह की और लश्कर की, माहूरा और बुनिहार के दरमियान, ये बारामूला में इलाके पड़ते हैं. 23 को ये लड़ाई होती रही और 23 शाम को उनको हलाक कर दिया गया. और 24 को जो था खुर्शीद अनवर का लश्कर जो था, जितने भी हमारे स्टेट फोर्स के 150 आदमी वो भी हलाक हो गए. और ब्रिगेडियर जो थे अपने राजेंद्र सिंह, वो भी वहाँ पे हलाक हो गए. और 24 सुबह को जो थे ये खुर्शीद अनवर जो थे वो वहाँ पे पहुँच गए, क्या नाम लेते हैं, बारामूला में. उन्होंने कब्जा कर लिया, क्योंकि वहाँ पे मुकाबले के लिए था ही कोई नहीं. जो मुकाबले में थे वो सारे मारे जा चुके थे.
Brigadier Rajendra Singh kept fighting with the tribals till his last breath. For his bravery, he was posthumously awarded the first Mahavir Chakra of independent India. Khurshid Anwar had reached Baramulla. Srinagar was not far away, but in the meanwhile, such a thing happened which angered Khurshid Anwar. In fact, when Khurshid Anwar had started off with the tribal lashkar, The Pakistani authorities had promised him that he would be made the president of Kashmir, but this didn't happen. Sardar Ibrahim Khan of Pakistan had captured Poonch. He declared himself the president of Azad Kashmir. When this news reached Khurshid Anwar, he became furious.
तो खुर्शीद अनवर को बहुत गुस्सा आया क्योंकि उनको खुर्शीद अनवर जो थे वो NWFP से लश्कर लेकर चले थे कश्मीर श्रीनगर को फतह करने के लिए, और उन्हें ये कहा गया था कि जब आप कश्मीर पहुंचोगे तो हम आपको वहाँ का जो था वहाँ का प्रेसिडेंट बना देंगे, लेकिन प्रेसिडेंट तो इब्राहिम खान बन गया। इसलिए उनकी और खुर्शीद अनवर की आपस में टसल शुरू हो गई, और खुर्शीद अनवर ने अपने फ़ौज को कहा कि हम इससे आगे अभी नहीं जाएंगे, आप इस वक्त आप फ्री हो, आप बारामूला में आप खाओ पियो लूटो, और घरों को जो भी लूट सकते हो, जितना लूट सकते हो लूटो, जितना कत्लो गारत कर सकते हो कत्लो गारत करो, और जब तक कि हमें ये आर्डर नहीं मिलता कि मैं प्रेसिडेंट बन जाऊँ और मैं आगे जाऊँ।
Khurshid Anwar wrote a letter to Pakistan government and said that he should be declared as the president of Kashmir because Kashmir is in his pocket and he will reach Srinagar within 2 hours. But here, both the Pakistani government and the army were bogged down. They felt that if they did this, their whole plan would be ruined. This first war of Kashmir was planned by Major General Akbar Khan. After retirement, he wrote a book on it named Raiders in Kashmir, Story of the Kashmir War 1947-48. In this book, he narrated this incident. According to him, he kept persuading Khurshid Anwar to move forward, told him to reach Srinagar and then decide. But Khurshid Anwar did not move forward. He remained adamant that he would not move even an inch until he was made the president.
सिख का सर, हिंदू का ज़र और मुसलमान का घर, जो मुसलमान के घरों में उनको ये था कि मुसलमान के घरों में रहो, वहाँ पे जो चाहते हो वो करो। हिंदू का ज़ार, हिंदू जहाँ भी देखो उनका ज़ार, उनके पैसे लूट लो, और सिख जहाँ भी आपको मिलो इसको ख़त्म कर दो। तो इस तरह इस नारे के तहत उन्होंने 3 दिन बारामूला में तहस नहस कर दिया। वहाँ की जो हिंदू और सिख पॉपुलेशन थी उसको उखेड़ के फेंक दिया, और वहाँ की हिंदू और सिख को छोड़िए, उसके अलावा जो मुसलमान जो थे वहाँ के, उनको भी उन्होंने लूटा, उनको भी उन्होंने मारा, उनके पास भी जो पैसे थे, जो चीज़ें थी वो सब उन्होंने छीन ली, और उनके घरों में वो घुस गए और नाजायज़ काम करते रहे उनके साथ, जिसकी जो है वो बहुत मेजर जनरल अकबर खान ने भी अपनी किताब में एतराफ़ किया है।
In his book, Major General Akbar Khan has mentioned how a conspiracy was hatched in Lahore and Pindi for Kashmir. Akbar Khan writes that Mian Iftikharuddin, the then leader of the Muslim League, told him in the month of September that Pakistan wanted to capture Jammu and Kashmir. For this, a detailed plan should be made. Major General Akbar Khan further writes that after receiving this order, he prepared a plan called Armed Revolt in Kashmir. But there was a problem in this, because if direct action is taken by Pakistan, then a wrong message will go to the world. So according to the plan, a feeling of alienation should be created in Kashmiris and strengthened by giving them help. It should also be taken care of that in the midst of all this, Jammu and Kashmir is not able to get any military help from India.
अहमकाना सोचती है। तीनों जो हमने हर जंग हमने शुरू की, हिंदुस्तान ने पहल नहीं की थी। हकीकत यह है ना, जब 47 में पाकिस्तान बना उस वक्त भी हमने कश्मीर में लोग भेजे थे, कबायली और जो वॉलंटियर थे, और हमारी सोच थी कि हम फतह कर लें कश्मीर को। वहाँ जब गए तो कबायलियों ने लूट मार शुरू कर दी। जब वैली में पहुँचे ट्रकें भर के वापस आ गए, हम श्रीनगर कैप्चर नहीं कर सके। महाराजा ने जिस वक्त तक उसने इंडिया को एक्सीड नहीं किया था, उसके बाद उसने जम्मू में जाके काफ़ी अरसे के बाद एक्सीड कर दिया हिंदू से। वो भी हमने अहमकाना तरीके से उसको शुरू किया।
इसको अनऑफिशियली ये सारी चीज़ जो है वो अरेंज की। उसके बाद ये कबायली जो है वो ट्रकों में लाद के जो है वो एबटाबाद, और एबटाबाद से मुजफ्फराबाद, और वहाँ से जो है वो रेड कराई गई। अब जब कश्मीर में रेड हुई तो आप कहते हैं जी शामिल हुई, तो उसकी वजह तो ये कबायली थे ना कि उन्होंने इन वाकयात को ट्रिगर किया कि जब उन्होंने रेड की, श्रीनगर की तरफ बढ़ना शुरू किया, लूटमार शुरू कर दी, खून खराबा शुरू हो गया, तो उसके बाद जाहिर है महाराजा को खत लिखना पड़ा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को कि जी आप फौज भेजें, क्योंकि हम पे हमला हो गया है तो हमारी प्रोटेक्शन के लिए। तो जिसके जवाब में इंडिया ने कहा कि ठीक है आप जो है वो हलाक करें, वरना लीगली हम नहीं भेज सकते फौज, हम तो आप दो अलग रियासत हैं अपने आप को कहते हैं, तो हम फौज कैसे भेजें? आप तो रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे ठीक है हम एक्सेशन। तो फिर जो है वो इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ एक्सेशन महाराजा ने साइन किया। तो 27 अक्टूबर को फौज जो है वो श्रीनगर एयरपोर्ट पे उतरी, जिसने जाके फिर इन कबायलियों को जो है वो पीछे धकेला जिसके नतीजे में जाके कश्मीर तकसीम हो गया।
Pakistan refused to recognize the official accession of Kashmir to India, saying that it was done forcibly by India. After this, Governor General Muhammad Ali Jinnah ordered Pakistan Army Chief General Douglas Gracey, who was a British, to attack Kashmir, but he refused to do so. In fact, at that time, both the Indian and Pakistani forces were under joint command. When Field Marshal Claude Auchinleck was informed about Jinnah's orders by Pakistan Army Chief General Douglas Gracey, Auchinleck said that British officers and soldiers are on both sides. They come under the command of the British Queen and cannot fight with each other. So Pakistan sent tribals, gave them weapons and sent with them their soldiers and officers who were on leave.
वो सारे के सारे ऑफिशियल लोग थे जो पाकिस्तान के सरकारी ओहदों पर फाइज थे। उसके लिए जो माल पैसे जो है वो आए, वो पाकिस्तान की ट्रेजरी से आए। बाकायदा जो है वो वजीर खजाना जो है उसने वो पैसे सैंक्शन किए और उसको उसने खुर्शीद अनवर के हवाले किए। ये सारी चीजें आप सरदार शौकत हयात की किताब में वाज़े तौर पे लिखी हुई हैं।
About 10,000 tribals, including Pakistan Army personnel, were divided into three parts. 5,000 tribals were kept in the first column. They were asked to move towards Srinagar via Uri, Baramulla and Patan. 3,000 tribals were placed in the second column. They were ordered to move towards Sopore. 2,000 tribals were kept in the third column and they were ordered to march towards Srinagar airfield via Gulmarg and Budgam. All of them were given support by machine guns and mortars. The tribals kept moving forward by killing the state force of Jammu and Kashmir and looting the areas. Within 10 days, they had reached very close to Srinagar. Pakistan had thought of killing two birds with one stone by its two-way plan. First, if the tribal lashkar captures Srinagar, then Maharaja Hari Singh will have no option but to flee from there. Second, if the Indian army comes there, the tribals can resist them for some time. Then Pakistan will send its army in the name of help and it will be impossible for India to stop them. But Pakistan's poor planning backfired.
जब आपने कबायली लश्कर भेजे तो कोशिश ये थी कि वहां एक अनार्की क्रिएट की जाए, डिस्टेबलाइजेशन की क्रिएट की जाए और जो राजा है वो वहां से भाग जाए, उसे खतरा महसूस हो वो वहां से भाग जाए, न हिंदुस्तान की मदाखलत हो न आपकी हो, वहां एक सीजर ऑफ स्टेट पार हो जाए और उसके बाद उसकी एक्सेशन ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी तरफ हो जाए। तो ये जो ट्राइबल लश्कर आपने वहां भेजे, इससे फिर ये हुआ कि हिंदुस्तान ने जो राजा था वहां का उसकी मदद के लिए अपनी फौज भेजनी पड़ी,
क्योंकि ये जाहिर बात है डिस्टेबलाइज कर रहे थे, इनको मिल रही थी, सक्सेस भी मिल रही थी
और उससे फिर आपने बाद में अपनी भी फिर फौज भेजनी पड़ी। फिर इसीलिए फिर कश्मीर डिवाइड हो गया। जो हिस्सा आपने ले लिया वो आपके वाले बन गया, जो आजाद कश्मीर बना, लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल बन गई, यूएन ने छलांग मार दी।
ये अक्टूबर 47 की बात हो रही है, लड़ाई चल रही थी एक साल बाद तक, जनवरी 49 में ceasefire हुआ एंड पाकिस्तानी आर्मी फॉर्मली ज्वाइंड द वॉर इन मई। बैटल ऑफ टीटवाल जो कश्मीर में हुई, टीटवाल और कुपवारा के पास लड़ाई हुई थी, वो मई जून में हुई थी। वहां पे काफी इंडियन पाकिस्तानी लोग फौजी मरे। हिस्टोरिकली जो कबाली आए थे कश्मीर, वो they were destroying, raping even in Muzaffarabad. Then they came to Baramulla. Baramulla maybe they started raping, plundering and all. At that point, Maharaja had to go to Mountbatten and say that, can Indian army come and help us? And why they cannot come till you don't sign an instrument of accession. So he signed it.
और राजा जो था उसने एक्सेशन ट्रीटी जो थी कि जी उसने कहा मैं पाकिस्तान को नहीं, मैं एक्सीड करता हूँ हिंदुस्तान को। तो आपने ये जो पहल की उसकी वजह से ये सारा एक नया इशू बन गया। अगर आप पहल ना करते तो पता नहीं हिंदुस्तान बात आपकी मानता या ना मानता, या रुख जो सियासी हालात थे वो क्या रुख इख्तियार करते। मगर क्योंकि आपने पहल कर दी थी, आपका ख्याल था ले लेते हैं या देखा जाएगा बाद, तो इसलिए ये सारा कुछ हुआ। तो पहल आपने की, फिर
जंग में
सबसे पहले आपने की, कबायली लश्कर आपने भेजे एक साजिश के तहत, और आपका कुछ प्लान्स थे वो पूरे ना हो सके, और फिर हिंदुस्तान ने रिएक्ट किया। जब रिएक्ट किया तो फिर आपने भी अपनी फौज को भेजना पड़ा, उनको भी भेजना पड़ा, और फिर ये डिवाइड हो गया कश्मीर। ये आपने पहल की थी
पहली जंग में।
As soon as Maharaja Hari Singh signed the agreement, the Indian army left for Srinagar. Lieutenant Colonel Diwan Ranjit Rai was commanding the army, which was sent to drive away the tribal lashkars. Lieutenant Colonel Ranjit Rai, along with his 2 companies, took off in IF Dakotas from Delhi to save Srinagar and its airfield from falling into the hands of tribal lashkars. Lieutenant Colonel Rai first secured the Srinagar airport and then marched towards Baramulla with the contingent. A fierce battle took place in Baramulla. During a very difficult task of extricating his troops from the enemy cordon, Lieutenant Colonel Ranjit Rai fell to an enemy bullet. But by then, the Indian Army had caused heavy losses to the tribal lashkars. Lieutenant Colonel Ranjit Rai was awarded the nation's second highest gallantry award, Mahavir Chakra, for his outstanding leadership, fighting spirit, and supreme sacrifice. After this, the most important battle took place on 3rd November 1947, which was fought at Budgam, just 2 kilometers from Srinagar. The Battle of Budgam is remembered for the bravery of Major Somnath Sharma. Commanding D Company of 4 Kumaon, he led the patrol. The number of tribal lashkars was around 500. Major Sharma's company was surrounded by the enemy from 3 sides. The Indian Army started firing, but it was outnumbered and sustained heavy casualties from the ensuing mortar bombardment. Major Somnath Sharma's left hand was injured, and in a plaster cast, Major Sharma took to the task of filling the magazines and issuing them to the soldiers operating light machine guns. He ran from post to post, motivating his men without fearing for his own life. The enemy, a mortar shell exploded in the middle of ammunition, resulting in an explosion near him, and he was martyred. Major Somnath Sharma, at the young age of 25 years, laid down his life for the nation and became the recipient of first Paramveer Chakra of independent India. After this, on November 7, about 6 kilometers away from Srinagar, the famous Battle of Citing took place. It was the most decisive battle of the war, where Indian soldiers and other brave hearts fought the adversaries and annihilated the enemy. In this battle, the number of enemies was 5 times that of the Indian army, but even then, they could not stand in front of our army.
If you read books, and even आपकी Akbar Khan brigadier की book है Raiders in Kashmir, the real thing is that Battle of Citing, जो famous battle हुई थी कश्मीर में on 7th November, they were butchered. These Kabalis were 10,000. Indian army was only 2,000. But they were at a certain plan, they were butchered and they had to run away. They were running away. Indian army was chasing them till Uri. At Uri, they got the orders not to cross over. Sardi शुरू हो गई थी December में. Indian army was not losing.
By now, the Pakistani raiders had almost been driven out of the valley by the Indian army. But since the Pakistani army had arrived to fight, the war was bound to be prolonged. War started between India and Pakistan forces in Uri, Titwal and other sectors of Kashmir. Indian army took its tanks to the world's highest battlefield. Pakistan did not even imagine that they would have to face tanks at this height. Baramulla was recaptured by Indian forces on 8th November. Enemies were driven out of Uri on 13th November. The war was still going on. Meanwhile, the then Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, took the matter to the United Nations. It dates back to December 30, 1947, when talks and discussions started in the United Nations about India-Pakistan war. Here at the battlefield, it started snowing due to winter, and it became impossible for the forces to move forward, although the shelling continued. As summer approached, the war once again gained momentum. The United Nations adopted a resolution on 13 August 1948, and a ceasefire was declared on 1 January 1949. The armies of both the countries stopped as and where they were. The territories were occupied by both the countries, whoever had a control over them at that time, and it was considered as the ceasefire line, which later became the LOC, or the line of control. So the areas which remained under the occupation of Pakistan are called POK, or Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. This first war of Kashmir lasted for about 14 months. About 1,500 Indians lost their lives in the war and 3,500 were injured. About 6,000 people of Pakistan were killed and 14,000 were injured. So the war became over. We drove away Pakistanis and got back a large part of Kashmir, which is now a part of India. But was it right for Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to go to the United Nations? There are many different views in our country on this matter. While making this video, we researched and tried to understand the matter as deeply as possible. In our opinion, Pandit Nehru's decision to go to the United Nations was under the British pressure, articulated by the Governor-General Mountbatten. Nehru succumbed to the pressure, but later when he realized it was too late. Author Rajiv Dogra has mentioned this in his book, India's World: How Prime Ministers Shaped Foreign Policy. Rajiv Dogra is a former diplomat. He was India's ambassador to Italy and Romania and consul general to Karachi, Pakistan. Rajiv Dogra has written in this book that Pandit Nehru went to the UN, but soon he realized his mistake. In his book, he has mentioned Pandit Nehru's speech in Parliament on March 28, 1951, in which Pandit Nehru had said that we did not ask the UN to adjudge the validity of Kashmir's accession or to determine where the sovereignty lay. We did not seek arbitration, but we went to them to complain about aggression by Pakistan, which we thought might jeopardize world peace. The UN took advantage of our initiative in our referring to the matter to them and thus enlarged the scope of their inquiry. Until now, neither the UN Commission nor the Security Council has suggested that the accession was open to question. So if Pandit Nehru had not gone to the United Nations, had there been no ceasefire, then perhaps the situation in Kashmir would have been different. Because the way the Indian army was moving forward, it was clear that the entire Kashmir would have been ours. The conspiracy of Pakistani army had failed and it had lost the war.
जंग करके हम क्या कश्मीर नहीं ले सकते?
जी, जंग के ज़मन में देख लीजिए कि पाकिस्तान ने कश्मीर के मामले में कई जंगें लड़ी हैं और तलख हकीकत यह है कि वो तमाम जंगें हमने हारी हैं.
The Pakistani army has lost every war it's fought with India, from the original war in 1947 until the latest war in 1999. The Pakistani army remains obsessed with India. It has been obsessed with India since partition. It has lost every war with India, and losing every war, it has come back even more obsessed with India. It sees no way of ever defeating India conventionally, having tried and failed.
So it is clear that Pakistan was defeated not only in the first war, but in every war. But the Pakistani army has deluded its people to such an extent that they still think that they had won the war. In its support, they give the argument that they had snatched away half of Kashmir from India. But this is nothing more than Pakistani propaganda. And through this video, Pakistani youth should also come to know that they had been disillusioned by the government and army to believe something which is just opposite of what happened in India-Pakistan war. Friends, hope you have liked this video. Please share it as much as possible. If you have not subscribed to Defense Detective Global, please subscribe to it. See you soon with another video. Till then, goodbye. Jai Hind.